Good day, ladies and gentlemen, your gun doctor here. What are the top 10 loadouts now in the current meta? What is working decisively well? Which long range is absolutely cracking? What works together? I'm going to start with the number one for long range, and that is the C58 with the following build. And I'll also tell you why exactly it's the C58 with the following build. I'm now adding the field agent grip for pinpoint precision because headshots count more with the 45 round drum mag and the Royal Cross 4x. And I think the Royal Cross 4x is really the clue point here because the gun has a super easy to control recoil that you can then just beam away at your opponents without missing a single taka. And especially with the bonus magnification and the slow fire rate, this is very important matters. The gun can be used on very long ranges because super high fire rate guns on 200 meter shots, they're just not as accurate as a low fire rate gun where you go taka. Obviously, due to the low fire rate, depending on the movement on range, you might have some problems with tracking if you're not really used to the fire rate of a gun. The most important part about the C58 though, is that with one headshot, 53 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots to the body, it is a knock. So that is only a one shot, 6 body shots. And if you compare that to a lot of the other guns, they do need 2 headshots, 3 headshots, 3 headshots, 2 headshots. You see where the round is going. So you would already need a multitude of headshots to kind of make the guns work. And that is where exactly the C58 is a dominating factor because it does have this. And especially then on the 25 meter range too, which gets enhanced up to 40 meters, you can go also for the 2 headshot and then 4 shots to the body for a 542 milliseconds time to kill. And the more headshots you stack, 53 plus 53, and then 1, 2, 3. Technically, with 3 headshots, you could have a 6 shot to kill. That is unrealistic on 100 meter ranges, but everything under 100 meters, especially with a 4x scope, if someone is head glitching you, there is a chance to really hit these 3 headshots in a row and get someone completely, absolutely destroyed that fast. Especially with 3 headshots, you have the armor broken straight away. And that makes the gun such a menacing rifle, especially when you're tracking someone. Due to the low recoil, it stays in one line. Compared to high fire rate guns that tend to do like this, with the high fire rate, it's really just one line beamer. You go tack. Since the C58 is a gun that you could also use on 20 meters, 30 meters, 40 meters, hell, you could even whip that out on 10 meters if you need, you can actually play the C58 together with short range SMGs and shotguns because you're not shy to pull this out early since your time to kill plummets so nicely in the beginning with the pinpoint precision and the headshots then. That means that you could pair this very good, in my eyes, with the OTS as a hipfire support, MP5 Cold War, and MP5 Modern Warfare. The OTS I really enjoy playing currently with the Task Force, Groove Suppressor, 5 milliwatt laser, bruiser grip, and then the 40 round mag. Not the 40 round speed mag because you need to ADS at some point, because you're going to start jumping around the corner, full hipfire. The hipfire of the gun is extremely low, and then you ADS down to finish your opponent. Most important thing to learn about the gun is obviously that your sight follows the gun weirdly. And that's why it's always good to start hipfire, then ADS, pinpoint on the target, first shot accuracy, boom, and just do the last beam to beam him down. And that's where then also the sight doesn't throw you off if you have to go like this, because you're pretty much starting hipfire. And then when you ADS down, you're already on target and you're fine to go, and the sight shouldn't throw you. If the sight still keeps throwing you off, put off the bruiser grip, put on a snap point, for example. But I do believe that if the more you use the gun, the more you get used to the sight. Don't worry though, we also have a sniper support OTS build for you. As the next long range follow-up, the LMGs are actually doing increasingly fine now. We have the PKM with 560 milliseconds, the Stoner with 584, you have the Bruin MG34. So all the LMGs are actually not that bad if you compare that to the ARs. Obviously on the LMGs, you have to add open bolt delay. Open bolt delay doesn't matter on the long ranges much. So if you shoot someone on 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 meters, if you have first shot, there is no open bolt delay, right? You see your opponent, you shoot first, 67 milliseconds, your shooting starts later. But since you shoot first, you do have your exact time to kill, and you do need like 1 to 2 headshots for most of the time to kills with the LMGs. The good thing here being about the Stoner, for example, good ADS time, great reload over the PKM. But the most important part also is you can play this with a 4x scope very easily. The Stoner plays with the 4x, great bonus magnification, and then especially using the measured reticle, your pinpoint precision. I play it with a task force then to control the recoil, suppressor to make the ADS time better. We put a field agent grip on, since there is on range, just the bullet spacing better to handle with the field agent grip, and then also the airborne elastic wrap for better ADS time. And with this combination, you have the range with great ADS time so that you're not getting cogged by the open bolt delay. Most important on this build is that since the open bolt delay is a thing, I wouldn't pull this out on 10 meters. You have a good ADS time, but imagine now you have to pull this out on 10 meters. Vup, and then open bolt delay, and your opponent sees you. It's kind of hard to really go for this face on one-on-one. So you want to be having first shot most of the time. On a 10-meter range, you can't guarantee that. 20, 30, 40, 50 is a different thing. So if you're playing an LMG, any of the LMGs, you can also play the PKM or whatsoever. You want to play an SMG with a good effective damage range. So we're looking at the left here, and we're looking for something like the Milano, 20 meters. Nail gun, 17 meters. Or, for example, the Mac 10 with 15.5 meters, especially because the Mac 10 just has the insane movement speed. The Stoner moves okay, but in comparison to an SMG, obviously slow. So you want to have your SMG out when you're zooming with a gallantry blueprint that you're getting the good eye inside. And then we're going to play this with a Raider stock, no barrel, agency suppressor, 43 round drum mag, striker grip, and Tiger Team spotlight. And that thing is just zoom in like crazy. Has some hip fire better, but you also ruin the hip fire with the sprint to fire from the Raider stock. So you're really going to ADS down with this because you do have the tiny eye inside notch due to the blueprint, and you can just completely overhaul your opponents. You can move so fast, and then with the Stoner from 20 meters on, you can use that. You really don't want to whip it out on 10 meters like other of the ARs, like the XM4 or the Fara, for example. But this one, then you want to whip out later, where you want to then more on the early ranges play with the Mac 10. Also, when you're using an LMG, you're probably going to be going for emmed because it can kind of be harsh sometimes to pull the LMG out without emmed. The Swiss is still my absolute go for sniper. And again, the most important part is don't use a blueprint. And sometimes if you save it as a custom mod, it can also bug. The scope is not aligned as soon as you use a blueprint. So you shoot to the bottom left of the scope. The build stays the same though with the sound moderator, combat rec, and 5mm laser, bruiser grip, and airborne elastic wrap. Recently, my friend Unreal Yuki has been like, "Hey, Pony, I've been using the Tiger Team. Isn't that good?" No, it's not. The bonus of fire rate is non-existent. Like it's like you gain nothing in fire rate, but you lose bullet velocity, and that's just not it. You do want to have the maximum bullet velocity the combat rec can have to offer, even though you're playing the sound moderator over the cruise suppressor, because the sound moderator just gives you such a much better ADS time that you don't need the bonus bullet velocity of that. But if you then play sound suppressor plus Tiger Team, you have even less bullet velocity. So this is like the perfect combination for ADS time to bullet velocity. When it comes down to sniper support, you have quite a varied amount of options. For example, the Milano still has the 20 meter effective damage range. With the OTS, you have the first 8.2 meters too, and the OTS kind of works very nice with the 3x also as a sniper support. If we're looking at the ARs just from a time to kill perspective, we've been obviously using the QBZ with a 530 milliseconds time to kill. The M13 also does do a great job. So as you can see, there are many. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be using the Isval, and in my opinion, the AK-47 Modern Warfare is still one of the best. But in my eyes, the AK-47 Cold War is just where it's at right now, just from a movement speed, precision, to destruction potential. You have a very good headshot damage, effective damage range, chest, tummy, arms, and legs. If you play this then on pinpoint precision, with the takedown followed up by the cruise suppressor, I do play the vision tech on it, 45 round mag, and then the GRU elastic wrap for ADS time. It is a menacing monster beamer. This is really one of my favorite guns right now. With the vision tech 2x, you have the exact good mix between early precision, but also that your mouse sensitivity due to the magnification doesn't get thrown off close quarter combat up. So you can shoot these people on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meters perfect. And even if you have to fight inside buildings, you're good off to go. Because realistically, inside building fights are often happening from one room to the other, from start of the room to the end of the room. Obviously, if you're then fighting a controller slinging player, slide canceling, 360-degree, G-fuel snorting 12-year-old kid, then you might have a problem if he 360 spins around the corner, aim assist locks on and beams you down. But apart from that, if you don't bring yourself in these situations as a sniper support player with a sniper, you're very good off to go to then beam people down. In case you fight players like this, I have two other options for you as sniper support. I have the OTS, but the OTS different with a task force, GRU suppressor, and then an actual 3 arms together still with a 5mW laser and the 40 round mag. This has a very good ADS time with a super good hipfire and then still pinpoint precision beaming on the 3x, giving you still more recoil control horizontally and vertically. This is kind of like the 3x Milano, but with a way cracked more fire rate and a damage fall off. But if you use this in the 10-meter range, for example, you're very good off to go. I think like 11, 12 meters should be your first damage fall off. And then afterwards, even with your second damage fall off from room to the end of the room, you're very good to go with the actual 3 arms. But the same build obviously works on the Milano. When we're talking about the 3x together with this task force agency suppressor on the 45 round drum mag. And then here you can either go for the Ember side point or the 5mW laser. And we're very good off to go the same. You have great hipfire, you have great bullet velocity, you have pinpoint precision beaming, you can get people down with your headshot multiplier, but you have to be more precision and it's less forgiving than the OTS. The OTS has the advantage of being such a high fire rate that you whip out the scope and you go, and people are like, what the fuck just happened? Especially once you are on the head with the Milano, it's still like taka, taka, taka. But if you're once on the head with the OTS, 3x build, once on the head and with the high fire rate, it's like, vroom, and you have already 3 headshots in that fast. Now, I do believe for people that like just beaming, especially 3x beaming, probably the Fara is one of the best options still. It does need 2 headshots and then it can hit the rest of the shots wherever. But with the 3x on any distance, you can just YOLO it at the opponent because you really don't have to actually care where you hit as long as you somewhere hit maybe a headshot. But even if you hit only body shots, you have such a fluent, consistent fire rate that this is probably for most of the people easy to handle. I would prefer to use a Spetsnaz grip because after 50 meters, there is some horizontal bounce. I know some creators will tell you there's no foregrip needed, but they're pretty much testing the recoil on 20 meters and just say, yep, no horizontal bounce on 20 meters or a little horizontal bounce on 20 meters doesn't need a foregrip. Well, the reality is, Jimmy, the horizontal bounce and actually 100, 150 meters is there, even on 80, 90 meters, and you can reduce that with a Spetsnaz grip, so do it. The good thing about the Fara is the Fara can also be really good whipped out on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 meter range. So the Fara is a candidate to, for example, pair with a shotgun and again with a very short range SMG. Recently been experimenting with the Gallo again, having good fun with it. I do personally use a blueprint to change the eyesight a little bit. I've been going for the neutralizer here, playing that together with a Fennec 12 round tube mag, followed up by the reinforced heavy together with the agency choke on the 5mW laser, because with the Ember side, your ADS time does feel decisively weird. And then with the wire stock for the sprint to fire time. And no, I don't go for any of the other stocks because I hate ruining my hip fire. Yes, you do ADS down with this quite frequently, but you can also extremely well hip fire this. So I don't see a reason to go for no stock or any of the other stocks to ruin my hip fire, even though you can play the SAS combat stock burst speed version. But honestly, with the burst speed version, I do lose my tracking because you shoot, get an insane movement speed, burst, flick to the left. So I prefer this one for good movement speed and just winning your one-on-ones, especially since a lot of the one-on-ones are nowadays happening again very close up and personal. And then as soon as you leave a building, you're just going to whip out the Fara straight away. I know a lot of you are a fan of the XM4, so what use do I find for the gun right now? As sniper support with a 583 milliseconds time to kill, technically you can still use it. But with 1 headshot and 7 body shots, you're only at a 583 milliseconds. So you would have to lower the time to kill by 1 more shot to actually go there. And to do this, I think we're talking about 3 headshots at least, plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, you would have to do 3 headshots at least to lower the time to kill 1 more. And you can't reliably do that. You're more likely ending with a 1 headshot and the 7 body shots, especially because a lot of people are playing this Einstein and the gun is being used by a lot of controller players. The good thing on long range though is that with a 1 single headshot, you are actually having your time to kill already. So 8 times 27 plus 40 is already then your time to kill, and that is only 1 headshot. Imagine with the Fara, you need to actually hit 2 headshots for that, whereas the XM4 only needs 1 headshot, and that makes the XM4 so much more forgiving. I personally don't like it as a long-range beamer, but considering that with the XM4, you do only need 1 headshot, and the XM4 has a very good mobility and ADS speed, then with the task force, agency suppressor, bonus ammunition, the 3x scope, and the airborne elastic ram, you can easily whoop this out in a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So as close, you could even whoop it out in a 0 meter range if you have to. And I think this is the one clue point about the XM4, why it is then too good. Because with the ADS time, you're never scared of having this in your hands. Whereas then you can really play this with the absolute short range SMGs. You can play this with any hipfire SMG version. And I think that's where perfectly the MP5 comes into play, Cold War, Modern Warfare, or the MP7 hipfire, that you can then whoop these out hipfire version. And up to 10 meters, you just perfectly fire this, just like a shotgun, and then you go for the 10 meter range XM4 again. Monolithic integral here, 5mm laser, Merc 4 45 round mag and AFTech collapsible. If you feel like you can't ADS with this after the hipfire fails, put the collapsible off and put a stipple grip tape, for example, on. Or if you feel like you're struggling in quads, you can also put a sleight of hand on to just reload a little bit faster. But realistically, for the best hipfire and movement, you want to have the collapsible stock. You could also, instead of that, play the MP7. The MP7 is a very good hipfire build, especially with a strike team barrel, which gives you a lot of bullet velocity and damage range without adding any time of movement speed impairment or hipfire problem, with a Merc foregrip, no stock, 5mm laser, and the bonus ammunition on 50 rounds because that's better movement speed wise. Now we do miss some suppression. You could put the Merc foregrip off for the monolithic. A lot of people do this. Put the strike off for the Merc foregrip again. So this is kind of like what you got to go for. If you feel like your hipfire is good enough, which it is already without the Merc foregrip, and you can handle the recoil when ADS, the strike team monolithic combination is insane because it hires your effective damage range even more by 35% in total, if I'm not mistaken. But with the Merc foregrip, you do have a little bit less movement speed. Hipfire is even better, and the recoil is a bit easier to control. So choose your poison on that one, what is better. But again, that is your inside building, super pinpoint precision hipfire beaming machine. Same as the OTS, for example. Whereas then with the XM4, you can really from 10 meters on easily whip that out. 1 headshot, 8 body shots, person dead. Now, as the XM4 is a very quick ADS gun, the same goes for the QBZ, which has a very good base ADS value. The QBZ with the Task Force Agency Suppressor, 45 round drum mag, field agent grip, and then with a Royal Cross 4 times, important here, still has a very good ADS time. And most important, that gun has negative recoil. Every third, fourth shot, it just pulls down. You obviously ignore that. A lot of people get freaked out by this because like brrrtak, brrrtak, brrrtak. Literally your reticle just does this every few shots. But that's fine. Just keep it on the opponent and keep shooting and you'll just get them beamed. That can kind of be confusing if you're doing a right to left beam and suddenly your scope goes down. But it's just a visual thing and you'll get used to it. But with the negative recoil, the gun is such a laser beam close quarter up. It is a secret like beamer. Why do you put the field agent grip on if it does have no recoil? Because you want to take care of the horizontal bounce. Because when your gun pulls down, if you don't have a field agent grip, the pull down goes left or right or left or right, and that can throw you off tremendously. So with the field agent grip, agency, and task force, you really reduce the bullet spacing so that then with a pull down that the gun actually has itself, it kind of is an absolute pinpoint laser. Has a very good ADS time too, just basic already. 200 milliseconds, something about that, even though you put attachments on it. Which means also this can be really well played with the hipfire SMG versions, with a bullfrog, with a shotgun. I wouldn't play the AK-74U here, for example. Don't see a reason. The Milano, the Fennec. If you would really like to have a very hipfire beaming gun, very easy with the ZLR Saber 5mW laser, sleight of hand depending on what game mode you play. 40 round drum mag version. Then here you do have the choice now to either go for more movement speed, but then when you ADS down, you might be having a little bit problems to control this because obviously the no stock introduces also more recoil. That is the more experienced version, I would say, the movement speed zooming versions, where you then have a very insanely good hipfire. And if you ADS down, you're still able to control it if you're good. If you can't control this, you can play the Merc foregrip instead of the no stock, which reduces your movement speed and makes you a bit slower. But really, with the no stock, you're then movement speed better off. And this has a tinier hipfire than the MP5 and the MP7. It's actually quite a hipfire monster, and it can make people very sad. If you play this in solos, you could even put sleight of hand off and put the Merc foregrip on, or duos, and then play with throwing knives together to finish the ones that you downed, because the reload speed is still good enough, and especially in duos, you should usually have enough time to reload. And that was just the tip of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. There are so many more loadouts out there. This was to give you a taste of what the meta has to offer, which guns are currently dominating and doing good. But there's so much more out there. You can see you can quite play everything, and it's always about how forgiving your guns. Because currently, in the current meta, I think the most thing to look out for is how forgiving is my gun? How easy can I achieve a realistic time to kill for it? Is it 9 body shots, for example? Do I need 2 headshots or do I need 1 headshot? All these things are something that really matters on range, and that makes the huge difference in how you're going to achieve your time to kill. Can I hit wherever on the body? Do I need to hit only chest shots? Right now, the guns you want to choose is kind of the guns with the lowest amount of headshots in the combination then with body shots. Exactly where the C58 comes in, as I said, 1 headshot, 6 body shots, 651 milliseconds. Is not the best time to kill. But if you compare that then to the AK-47 Cold War, which needs 2 headshots and then 5 shots to the body, that is a difference. Obviously, 2 headshots doesn't sound like a lot, but your opponent is not standing still to give you the coup de grace. I mean, obviously, if he's standing still, though, then it doesn't matter. Then with the QBZ, 3 headshots, easy peasy lemon squeezy, but even 9 body shots are good off to go. So it's kind of also like, what time to kill is already nice. What time to kill am I happy with? The A94 doesn't profit from headshots at all. You just hit 9 shots wherever on the body. I mean, the A94 is trash. So what can you do? What is realistic? How is your movement? How is your ADS time? All these things is what matters right now more. And then obviously also your personal feeling with a gun. Can it hip fire? Can it not hip fire? How much is the effective damage range? All these things are mattering values that then really do elevate a gun, because time to kill is a nice stat to look, is this gun meta? But the reality is that the time to kill is almost the least important stat, as the time to kills are quite similar to a certain degree, and you will have to look for the overall handling of the gun, plus then the bonus as we just said, the values to look for, and especially also, can it handle it well in the first damage fall off? I mean, some of these guns like the M13, they have just a native 40 meter effective damage range. So that elevates that as a perfect sniper support, because up to 40 meter, you have your first damage fall off and not your second damage fall off. Where something like the AK can only go up to 32 meters. And that does sound like minimal differences, but it does make a huge difference when you then do hit these and you're like, man, why did I need so many shots? Boom, it's because he was 2 meters further away. And if you were using an LMG, for example, you would have been better off to go. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope all these builds could help you, could bring you some feeling for what is in the meta, what to really look out for. Yes, the cheat is in the description below. You can look at it, and I hope it does help you to understand what is currently going on. Also, drop in the comments below, please, what is your favorite meta right now? What are you playing? What are your builds? So I get some more inspiration of what I also would like to cover. Don't worry, every of these guns are also getting singular gameplay videos again to then really show you effective gameplay with these guns, because I can tell you all these things, but then showing you effective gameplay is also a huge difference, especially on the QBZ, for example, where we show you the negative recoil, that you can then get a feeling for how to play this, because every gun has a respective playstyle. Some are more aggressive players, some are more medium range beamers, and some are the long range ones where you then have another one of your team being the first breacher. And for all the guns, you do have to adapt your playstyle, and not every gun is just meant for every player. I mean, if you're more the medium aggressive player, you will probably not want to play a movement speed hipfire monster beaming SMG. No, you'd rather want to have an SMG with a high effective damage range that you can also shoot on 20 meters. All these things, playstyle plus the guns for the playstyle. That is very important. I think that's what a lot of people are doing wrong. They see Aiden playing a certain way and they're like, well, these guns work fantastic for Aiden. I should try them too. Oh, they don't work. Well, guess what? You're not someone with a controller that pushes every single building like a crazy maniac. Surprise, you're playing long-range sniper support mostly? Well, why is that hipfire SMG not working for you? Exactly, good that we talked about this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're so close to the 100K. Tell your friends, moms, uncles, everyone to subscribe so we push there. And then the road is not over though. I mean, we're hyped for the 100K, but let's be real. We want more. We're hungry. We want to double this. I mean, end of the year, we want to be at 5 million already. Okay, yeah, okay, let's everyone calm down right now. Thanks for supporting the video. Have a great day and see you in the next video.